Good afternoon, everybody. It is 8 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Wednesday, September 4th. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive on this really nice Wednesday afternoon. Again, temperatures in the low 80s. Pretty nice for this time of year. We'll take it. We've got a lot going on today, and of course, we're going to have some very serious coverage, and a little bit later, we'll be talking to our friend Ken Weaver, who we're happy to have on board. But we got to start talking about the events in Winder, Georgia, Appalachia High School there, where there was a school shooting, 10:30 local time, 9:30 our time. And then we know that the individual who they have in custody is apparently a student. We don't know of a student at that school, but said to be 14 years old, perhaps, according to some reporting. 4 people dead and as many as 20 or more injured. These numbers, as you always know in these kinds of situations, having covered, sadly, too many of these things, these numbers will be in flux. And that is always the case. We are expecting any moment now, but, these things are very fluid, but they were supposed to give an update at 4 o'clock local. That would be 3 o'clock our time. We're now, 9 minutes past that, but at some point in the near future, we will have a live report and hear a press conference from there where the officials will give us more information. It is a surprisingly difficult task. It's really difficult in a situation like this where you have a big crime scene and a lot of people who are running to being sent to hospitals for coverage and for treatment and that kind of thing. It's really difficult to get a good number on things. And of course, that's the thing that we most want to know. How many people died? How many people were injured? As it stands now, the toll is 4 dead. 20 or so injured. I've seen some reports as perhaps as many as 30 people were injured, but we don't know for sure. As I say, the overwhelming thing that you have to do there is, get into the crime scene and analyze it, literally walk it. And it will take some time for them to get all of their facts straight. And even then, it is entirely possible that these things will change as they sort of bear down and refine the data on all of this. 4 people, this is from the New York Post, 4 people believed to have been killed, about 20 or 30 others injured in a shooting at a high school in northern Georgia on Wednesday. The victims apparently wounded when shots rang out at Appalachia High School just before 10:30 a.m. local time. Not immediately clear if all the reported injuries were from gunshot wounds. It really is true. People can be injured just trying to scramble away. Sometimes they are cut by flying glass in situations like this. A suspect who is of student age in custody. Not clear if the individual attended the high school, which is about 45 minutes north of Atlanta. Barrow County Sheriff Judge Smith declined to provide many details about the suspect or victims during a brief press conference at 1 o'clock local time, and they promised, as I said, to come back around 4 with more information. They ask, and you can understand the need for this, they're asking for patience. Please let us get the facts that we need to make sure that we get this right. This is going to take multiple days for us to get answers as to what happened and why this happened. What you see behind us is evil, he added, referring to the chaotic scene around the high school campus. Multiple law enforcement agencies swarmed Appalachia High after a report of an active shooter. As you know, in situations like this now, the standard operating procedure, and we certainly saw this after the shootings down in Texas, that you must go in as soon as possible. I mean, without delay, you don't wait. If you have a weapon, you charge in there. And, we see law enforcement people like here in Nashville at the Covenant shooting. They went right in the building as soon as they got there. And that was one of the reasons why perhaps the death count was not higher. Again, in that particular case, in Covenant, the shooter was neutralized. Here, we understand the shooter is in custody. White House has been briefed by the matter. Attorney General Merrick Garland said at a press conference that was being held on another issue that he was ready to assist Georgia authorities with the investigation. We have the FBI and ATF are on the scene working with state, local, and federal partners, adding that he was devastated for the families who've been affected by this terrible tragedy. What did it sound like? Here is the commentary from one student who attended the school, who was an eyewitness to what the events of the day.
Multiple gunshots, rapid fires, and like 2 times, maybe like 2 rounds. Like it was just constant, and it just didn't stop. So we just thought it was like just something falling down, because we always hear that type of stuff, but it was like rapid. And then we had the little hardware lockdown thing on the little board, and then they closed the doors and we barricaded the doors and everything.
One senior, Sergio Caldera, told ABC News he was in the chemistry class when he heard shots. My teacher goes and opens the door to see what's happening. Another teacher comes running in and tells her to close the door because there's an active shooter. Caldera's teachers locked the door and the students ran to the back of the room, which is standard procedure now. They said they heard screams from outside as they huddled together. At one point, Caldera said someone banged on the classroom door and said, "Open up," several times. They did not, as you would imagine. When the knocking stopped, Caldera heard more gunshots and screaming. The terrifying shooting came after a month after Barrow County students returned to classes. They went back to school on August 1st, just back from a 4-day weekend for Labor Day, according to those at the school. So, again, we are waiting a press conference in Appalachia today, and we'll take as much of that as we possibly can, because this will be our first, hopefully, official accounting from the officials there as they try to get their bead on what exactly has happened. And it is so tragic, of course, that we have this situation. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, if you know anything about Georgia, you know about the GBI. They are on scene as well. And all that they have said is that we know of 4 dead. You know, I hate to say this, but that number could sadly go up because it takes a while for them to check out the entire school. It takes time for them to figure out where people went to hospitals. People may have arrived in critical condition and not survived their wounds, so that number could go up. Of course, holding a good thought that the people who have injured perhaps will all recover with good medical care, as you have in the Atlanta metro area, as you can imagine. So there we have that. We do have some reaction from the campaign trail today from Kamala Harris, who made these comments before she launched into her regular campaign speech.
You know, a lot of us, I'll speak about myself, you know, we had, I grew up in California, earthquake drills, we had fire drills, but our kids are sitting in a classroom where they should be fulfilling their God-given potential, and some part of their big, beautiful brain is concerned about a shooter busting through the door of the classroom. It does not have to be this way. Be this way. And, you know, this is one of the many issues that's at stake in this election.
She did not say what her ideas were with regard to this, but stopped short of saying what Democrats normally say in a situation like that, saying that the answer is gun control. But certainly that has been the message of the Biden administration for quite some time now. Well, Ken Weaver is in the newsroom where he's been monitoring. Ken, I gave everything that I have. Did you hear anything more that needs to be added to our conversation about this?
Nope, you wrapped it up perfectly, Brother Brian. At least 4 dead, at least 20 injured, and suspects in custody said to be a student at the school. Okay, so that has now been confirmed. And in the early reporting, that wasn't clear. Okay, well, that's an important development. I mean, one assumes in a situation like this, but you really can't assume. I remember the morning of the Covenant shooting, as we all were reporting the information, and we were very fortunate that day to have a good flow of information from police. In fact, we even got information from police officers that were in the building at the time, shortly after the thing got neutralized. It was very surprising to find out in the case of the Covenant shooting that it wasn't a student at the school. And in fact, it was a very rare thing in these kinds of situations. It was a female shooter, and that is almost unheard of
in such things like this. No information has been given to us about this apparently 14-year-old individual, and no one knows exactly, of course, what the motivation be. Takes, as you know, we still don't have details on the true motivation of what happened with the Covenant shooting, and we are several years out, as you know. So it'll be interesting to see if we get any more. Well, not several years; we're a year out, a year and a half. So it'll take some time for them to get that kind of information. So to recap very quickly, it is Appalachia High School, just north of Georgia, about 40 minutes. Barrow County, Georgia is the county. County officials, state officials, multiple law enforcement agencies, fire, EMS personnel, all dispatched to the Appalachia High School at around 10:30 local time, 9:30 our time, and it was a really very ugly scene as students were leaving. Parents, as you know, often rush to the scene when they start to hear about something like this, wanting to be reunited with their children. Probably one of the scariest things, of course, are those moments where you're waiting to find out if your child is okay. And in all the chaos, it probably is made a little easier today by the fact that most kids in high school carry cell phones. So if they got into the clear, they were probably calling their parents quite quickly, but still takes then a long time to reunite the children with the parents, because you're always looking to make sure that you're giving them to the right people, and etc. You want to talk to everybody before they leave in case they're eyewitnesses who can provide more information to police. But it's all unfolding there in Appalachia, and when that press conference happens here any moment now, we will take some of that. 20 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Say, if you want to have a pole barn made for you, there's really just one company you need to call to, and that's the people at Stoltz Co. They do this. This is their specialty, and you're going to find a great product at Stoltz Co. And here's the question: do you have any land that you would like to do something with? Maybe you're just sitting on the land. Well, why don't you invest in that land so that you can make some maybe build something? And folks at Stoltz Co. have lots of good ideas as to how they can help you with all of that. Listen, just go to their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com. Take a look at the things that they've done for other people. They may have made barn dominiums. These are barns that you live in. They're really cool and very popular right now. How about an equestrian space? How about a special event space? How about a place in the country where you can get away from the city, or maybe you want to retire there? But whatever it is, Stoltz Co can help you. Again, just find out about all the things that they can do for you by going to their website, stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Water shortage emergency issued. The deadly Georgia school shooting update. Dozens of bullets into the home of a popular Wilson County pastor. And there may be a Tennessee connection to this Russian election interference indictment announced today. All of this at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, that is Ken Weaver. That's right, I said Ken Weaver. Ken Weaver, what took you so long to get here? We've been waiting on you. What has it been, about 2.5 years only, waiting for you to show up.
Well, you know how I-24 is.
Well, it is good to have you on board, and I wanted to give you just a moment before we're waiting again on events in Georgia to sort of tell us the story about how this all came to be, because I know you love working with the guys in the morning.
Yes.
But this really became sort of a personal lifestyle decision for you, didn't it?
Well, it did indeed. Yeah, my wife was hired by a company out of Seattle, and of course they're 2 hours behind us.
Right.
So her hours changed, from 10:30 to 7:30 at night. Mm-hmm. Well, here I am. I'm going up the stairs to go to bed while she's coming downstairs, off of work. And, the family dynamic was just wasn't working for me. I mean, my family's the most important thing in my life.
As it should be. That's right.
And then things just happened to work out here where I was allowed to move to the afternoon, and Joan Jones came in for the morning. And it's just snapped into place.
Well, of course, you know how happy I am because when I came to afternoons, I tried to snag you, but you wouldn't come. I did everything I could that was short of hijacking your car. But because we always had so much fun, you, me, and Chris on the morning show, and I wanted to bring that I don't know, that certain brand of crazy that we have to the afternoons as well. But it wasn't going to work out. And so, Chris and I have been holding down the fort, and we just keep looking at our watch saying, when is Weaver going to show up? Come on, where is Weaver? But we're so glad to have you. And by the way, for people who have not heard Joan on the morning show, she is a very respected news anchor in the field of news anchors, maybe one of the best in the country. Yeah. She worked for many, many years as the morning anchor at the number one highly rated station in Washington, D.C., WTOP, which was all news. They didn't even do opinion. They just did all news 24/7. Quite a very respected station, and she was, the host of the morning show as one of the anchors for many years. So, the morning show is in really good position. Joan's going to fit in right there with those guys perfectly, and we're just thrilled, of course, that while we were waiting, you finally decided to join us.
Finally decided to get here. Like I said, boys, I had to help a couple of old ladies across 24 this morning in Smyrna.
Yeah,
and then I finally got.
Well, thank goodness you weren't trying to get to work, in the mornings the other day, man. I mean, apparently that was just a nightmare, and you were still off on taking a day of vacation. So
yeah, yesterday apparently that was.
Yeah, that was apparently a bad deal. Chris, any thoughts there? I mean, I know you're glad to have him as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it many times, Brian, that it just clicked when the three of us started working together. We all just kind of fed off of one another and know what we're going to do. Yep. As a cohesive unit. It just works. I mean, that's the only way I know how to put it. So it's I'm excited.
Yep. It's funny. I've worked in many different jobs, and I've had co-hosts and co-anchors, and some people, you just immediately gel with, and it works. Or sometimes you find it pretty quickly. In other cases, it never comes together. It just, you try and try and try. I had one job, and I won't even tell you where it was, but I had one job where I worked with one person early and then another person later. And I had amazing chemistry with the person who was earlier, and I never did find even a lick of chemistry with the person with whom I worked later. And it was same guy, and it's just it's an elusive thing. Yeah. And when I rolled in here in 2018, January of 2018, on short notice and needed to fill in, and even before they even began talking to me about becoming a full-time host, I immediately understood, this is good. This is really good. I mean, the chemistry was instantly there. We never missed a beat from the day we started to the day we ended together. And I am particularly happy to have you on board. And so
I'm glad to be here, boys.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. And we will. Oh, by the way, I buried the news. And, you know, you're not supposed to bury the news. You're supposed to bring that. You're supposed to lead with the news. We're going to be doing the once wildly successful, soon to be wildly successful again, Three Amigos segment every day at 5:35.
All right.
So, you know, as always, your microphone, you just jump in whenever you need to say something. I love to have you do that. But we're going to dedicate, you know, and try to recreate the magic that was the Three Amigos. We even have the music ready to go. So
pressure's on.
Pressure's right. 5:35. We will do this every single day. Right now, it's time for Ken Weaver to do the news at 3:30.
Ken Weaver with your top stories, and I, for one, love the temperatures and the low humidity, but we do need some rain. The city of Franklin is the latest to ask residents to conserve water by refraining from watering lawns, even golf courses. Also, no washing your car or boat until further notice or we get adequate rain. We'll tell you if any of that is on the horizon during the full forecast and a traffic update in 5 minutes. That deadly shooting at Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia. Here's Alexandra Romero. She is a sophomore there.
The teachers came in and they were like, everybody get on the floor, cover yourselves. Like, we were all like hugging each other. So we were all like, it was a small little ball of us like all holding each other. And I remember like my friends crying.
Multiple law enforcement sources now telling ABC News 4 people killed, another 20 or so have been injured, and a suspect is in custody, reported to be a student at the school. Here in Middle Tennessee, the neighborhood where Pastor Greg Locke's home was targeted by a gunman overnight is on edge. Investigators say 30 to 50 bullets went into the home in Mount Juliet.
It's scary. You know, we live maybe a quarter mile from his house there, and I have kids, and yeah, that's definitely concerning that somebody is like that roaming around the neighborhood.
Pastor Locke telling Channel 4 he thinks he just missed encountering whoever shot up his home by mere minutes based on his security footage at his property. There may be a Tennessee connection to the Justice Department announcement about Russian interference in the 2024 election.
The Justice Department is seizing 32 internet domains that the Russian government and the Russian-sponsored actors have used to engage in a covert campaign to interfere and influence the outcome of our country's elections.
The Tennessean says the indictment alleges a Tennessee content creation company was used, though it doesn't identify the company. That is the latest news here, but we understand we're getting an update now from officials there at the Appalachian High School shooting in Winder, Georgia.
Good afternoon. I am Chris Hose, Director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And we wanted to come back this afternoon and present you a little more of a timeline of the events that have taken place here today and what we know up to this point with the investigation. At approximately 10:20 a.m. this morning, the Barrow County Sheriff's Office received alerts about reports of an active shooter and radio traffic to school resource officers concerning the same concern, or having the same concern. Within minutes, law enforcement was on scene, as well as 2 school resource officers assigned here to the school who immediately encountered the subject within just minutes of this report going out. Once they encountered the subject immediately surrendered to these officers, and he was taken into custody. Additionally, what I want you to know as of now, there are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school. The priority right now for us within this investigation is to gather all the facts, to make sure that we're accurate with it, because this is a murder investigation. As the sheriff mentioned earlier this morning, the shooter is in custody. His name is Colt, that's C-O-L-T, Gray. He is a 14-year-old student here at the school, G-R-A-Y. He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Again, he has been taken into custody. He will be charged with murder, and he will be tried as an adult and handled as an adult. We are coordinating these charges and obviously this investigation with District Attorney Brad Smith, who is the District Attorney for the Piedmont Judicial Circuit here. Since early this morning we talked with you, and since the incident occurred, numerous interviews have been taking place through our investigation with students, faculty, as well as any other witnesses that we could identify. Law enforcement had a very, very swift response to this incident once the incident was determined that there was a concern here. Those resources, whether it was in that response or throughout this investigation to assist, came obviously from the Sheriff's Office here, from other local law enforcement agencies, state law enforcement agencies, and federal law enforcement agencies as well. To include, not to be left out, multiple EMS personnel, multiple fire personnel, and agencies. Those agencies responded here as well today, and I am extremely grateful, as I know the sheriff is, for that quick response and the partnerships of working here together with what all has gone on. Currently, from the investigative perspective, we have crime scene agents and other special agents from the GBI, from close to a dozen of our different work units from across the state that have responded here today to work on this investigation, again, collecting evidence, conducting interviews, and so forth. I do want to pass this along, that if anyone has any information that wants to be passed on concerning this investigation, that they can do that anonymously at our tip line at 1-800-597-TIPS or 1-800-597-8477. They can also report this on by downloading the See Something, Send Something app. That can be done by Android or Apple phones, either one. If they need to report any tips concerning this investigation. Let me close out before I turn this over to the sheriff and let you just remind you that this is still a very active investigation. There is still a lot that is very fluid. There's still a lot of interviews to be conducted that will continue on into the night, as well as crime scene work and collecting and gathering evidence. But what is more important for me to mention here to you is my heartfelt sympathy to the parents, the students that were here today. Regardless of where they were in the school, this has got a great impact on them as well as on this community. My thoughts and prayers, along with everybody standing behind me and every law enforcement agency in this state, and many I will tell you around this country, they are in our thoughts and prayers. And we will continue with that. We ask for your patience as we continue through this, and we'll continue to try to give you as many updates with information as we can to keep you informed. But thank you for being here. I'm now going to turn it over to Barrow County Sheriff Judge Smith. Thank you. Spell your name, please. H-O-S-E-Y. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sheriff Judge Smith of the Barrow County Sheriff's Office. I never imagined that I would be speaking to the media in my career over something that happened today, the pure evil that happened today. I cannot thank the people behind me for the support they give me today, give this office, and give this staff. This hits home for me. I was born and raised here. I went to school in this school system. My kids go to this school system. I'm proud of this school system. My heart hurts for these kids. My heart hurts for our community. But I want to make it very clear that hate will not prevail in this county. I want that to be very clear and known. Love will prevail over what happened today. I assure you of that. It is very early as to what happened. Governor Kemp reached out to me and has provided me every single resource that he has to make sure justice prevails. I don't know why it happened. I may not ever know. We may not ever know. But I ask that you and our community lift up our schools, lift up our public safety, and that, again, we do not let this hateful event prevail as to what happened today. I want to thank the surrounding agencies and counties and cities and state and federal authorities that have come and provided us, because they prevented a lot of more tragic events from happening. Continue to lift up these families, continue to lift up our students and our kids, and know that love will prevail. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. LaDuff, our school superintendent, to come and speak on behalf of the school.
Good afternoon, I'm Dallas LaDuff. I'm the superintendent of the Bexar County School System. I want to thank the Bexar County Sheriff's Office and all of our law enforcement partners for their swift response today, along with that of our staff. I'd also like to thank our community for their response and patience as we work to reunify them, students with their families here today and secure the rest of our school campuses. Our schools will be closed for the remainder of this week as we cooperate fully with law enforcement to get answers to the many questions that we all have about this incident here today. But as we are closed, our central offices will remain open, where we will have grief counseling available for our community every day this week and thereafter as we support each other through this terrible event. In closing, I just want to say to our community, as a school system, we are here for you, we support you, and we are ready to get you any support that you may need as we grieve through this together. Thank you.
Well, there you have the latest reporting, the latest information from Appalachia High School in Georgia, just north of Atlanta, about 40 minutes. You heard there from Chris Hosey from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the GBI, and Sheriff Judge Smith, as well as the Superintendent of Schools. The latest information, just to recap, 4 dead. There are 9 injured. Of the dead, 2 are students and 2 are apparently faculty members at the school. The shooter surrendered to resource officers very shortly after the thing started. They were on the scene and were able to encounter the shooter, and he surrendered and he was taken into custody. He will be tried as an adult, according to the GBI. So the very basic information now: 4 dead, 9 injured, 2 students, 2 faculty members, and the shooter in custody. And the investigation will continue. We got to catch up here in a little bit. It's now 3:43 on Super Talk 99.7.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's 47 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. A very unusual hour in that we had to take that press conference. Now everybody was very interested to know. Again, if you missed it, there was a really horrific shooting in a school called Appalachia High School north of Atlanta. And the press conference a few moments ago was the most authoritative information that we've had as yet from the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the sheriff there, and other officials. 4 dead, 20 or so, I'm sorry, not 20, 9 injured. Of the dead, 2 were students, 2 were faculty members. 14-year-old shooter, they gave his name as Colt Gray. And he apparently was encountered very quickly by school resource officers who were on the scene at the school and this school's been in session now for the better part of a month. Well, I guess exactly a month. And these resource officers encountered the individual very quickly. He did not resist. He surrendered to them and was taken into custody and will be tried, we are told, as an adult. It again will take a long time for them to get into the more details than that, but those are the basic who, what, when, where, and why of that particular story. Of course, it troubles us here in Nashville every time we have one of these, having gone through it ourselves with the Covenant School shooting. So that is the latest information on that. Just give you sort of a heads up of the things that we're going to be doing a little bit later. There's a story. The Department of Justice has said that the Russians have been involved in disinformation and in an attempt to have an impact on our 2024 election. They have brought some charges today against the Russians who are involved in that. And there appears to be a local connection, a Tennessee connection, in that the Russians were apparently working with a firm here in Tennessee. We believe we have identified properly that firm, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a moment. There are new whistleblower allegations regarding how badly the security team was put together that was protecting Trump on that particular day, and whistleblowers are providing new insights that are quite troubling, and we'll talk about that. Pete Hegseth, we expect he'll be along with us at 4:35, and at 5:35, the re-debut of the three Amigos in the afternoon. It's all straight ahead right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN 350.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
All right, we have learned what happened moments after the shooting started at that high school in Georgia this morning. A possible Tennessee connection to the alleged Russian disinformation campaign to interfere in the election. And where do you think Nashville ranks among the world's most congested cities? We'll tell you at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, time to take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrials were up 38 points today. That's not much, just barely up. And the S&P was just barely down about 8 points. The NASDAQ was down 52 points. So mixed boards today after a really bad day yesterday where there were heavy losses on major indices. What's going on? Let's check in with John Maxson over at Beacon Capital Management to get a sense of what's driving the market today. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, we had a really steep sell-off yesterday. Markets were pretty flat today, kind of back and forth. Shares of NVIDIA, of course, that's been the prize of the market this year. We're down again today, and the market's really pricing in how much of this AI boom is really warranted to that stock price. So it's going to be interesting to watch that. September, of course, is typically a pretty volatile month for stocks, but the big thing that the market is really looking at is the jobs report that's going to be coming out on Friday. The Fed's paying close attention to that. We did get a report today from job openings that was at 7.7 versus 8.1 million expectation. That does give us a little bit of sneak peek in that the labor market's probably continuing to cool. Tomorrow we get initial jobless claims, and then again the jobs report on Friday. So that's what the market's going to be watching.
All right. Well, to find out all the things that John Maxson and the good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, just reach out to them or look at their website, askbeaconnow.com. Coming up on the next hour of the drive, Russian propagandists using a Tennessee-based company to try to have an impact on the election. What's that all about? We'll get to it coming up after the news with Ken Weaver, 58 minutes past the hour. Well, let's talk about D.T. McCall's. As you know, D.T. McCall's is a local company that is so local that they've been in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, starting with one location. Now they have 5 convenient locations, one, no doubt, near you, and that's what you want, right? So if you need furniture, you need appliances, you need something for your house, you need a bedroom suite, you need a bed or a bedroom suite or a kitchen suite, whatever you need, you're going to find it at DT McCall's. They got it all. Rooms and rooms and rooms of stuff that you can actually go and see and touch and check out. And it's good stuff, I'm telling you. I have it all over my house. And here's the thing you're going to find is they're going to give you a good price, and it'll be an honest price. They will never then come back to you and say, well, we need to charge you for more for delivery and more for the setup and more for the haul away. That's just not the way they operate. They give you a number, and it includes all those things, and you'll say, that's a pretty good number. Listen, if you want to find out more about all the things they can do for you, just go to their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We have the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Georgia, 4 people dead, 2 teachers and 2 students, 9 others injured after another student opened fire at his high school this morning just outside of Atlanta by about 45 miles. Here is 16-year-old student Layla Farrell, who survived.
I was in the classroom called Food Nutrition and Wellness, and we were just going through like a normal day. My teacher was actually doing like a PowerPoint on his screen, and suddenly the screen said hard lockdown in big red words. And the light started flashing, a light that I had never seen before within a drill.
Authorities say that shortly after the shooting started, 2 resource officers confronted the 14-year-old gunman who then surrendered. This 14-year-old suspect in the deadly mass shooting there in Winder, Georgia, identified as Colt Gray. The suspect is a student at the school, and authorities say he will be handled as an adult. We have learned of a possible Tennessee connection to the Justice Department crackdown on what it calls Russian disinformation and interference on the upcoming election. White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says Russia tried to peddle pro-Russian propaganda, especially related to the war in Ukraine.
All of this activity was designed to funnel disinformation through outlets and social media influencers that a certain number of Americans find credible. We will not stand for that.
Now, Kirby wouldn't specifically say what U.S. political party these Russian agents were trying to promote. Now, we learned of the possible Tennessee connection during Attorney General Merrick Garland's announcement this morning that alleges a Tennessee content creation company was used, though it doesn't identify the company. But the Tennessean says this indictment says this company described itself on its website the same way that it is on the homepage of Tennessee-based Tenet Media. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Nashville comes in the top 50 most congested cities in the world, according to a recent ranking. It measures how much time you're spending in traffic post-pandemic, and Jim Ryan breaks it down on the cost.
The data analysis firm INRIX has looked at traffic patterns worldwide, finding that in most places, congestion is right where it was before the COVID-19 shutdowns. In this country, the average driver is spending 42 hours or a whole work week stuck in traffic every year. The New York urban area has it worst of all. Drivers there lose 101 hours a year to congestion.
All right, so drivers in Nashville lose 56 hours a year. Nashville ranks as the 39th most congested city in the world when it comes to traffic, 12th in the U.S., and the loss is $985 per person per year. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.